we don't chat.
Live from the church basement, it's the Northwoods Assembly Bible Study with PB&G, where if you miss a little,
you miss a lot.
Welcome to the Bible study, everyone. Welcome, Angie, for tuning in. Sorry we were a couple minutes late, but Gary was telling the story about cattle or something.
Gary?
All right, it was me. I was telling a story about cattle. I slowed us down. I'm sorry, I apologize. All right. We are continuing in the book of Nehemiah tonight. So we're going to open with prayer and get to it. Right, Gary? You got any announcements, anything at all you want to share with the people?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. Oh, Sunday, come and split wood.
Yes.
And
Clean the nursery.
clean out the nursery. Gail decided we're going to clean out a nursery room for kids and stuff too. We lost
a big oak tree in the storm, and it's all sectioned
up. We didn't lose it.
We know where it is.
Yeah,
it's just not standing up anymore. It's laying down.
Yeah,
it's cut into nice bite-sized chunks that'll fit into a log splitter. So Sunday at 10 o'clock, we're going to be out there with a couple of log splitters. We're going to split that into some really nice oak firewood. And if you want to help, show up at 10 o'clock at the church on the 10th, 10.
Or even 11 if you can't be there at 10.
Right.
Yeah, and if you don't want to help, show up at 9:45. It gets you some time to work yourself up and be ready to help.
We need some wood for the fire.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Should we want to do live chat?
Sure, let's chat live, and then they
this
can
section we can have it because Angie's
right
on it.
there.
She'll probably want to talk. Yeah, we will pray.
He'll chat. I'll be live.
There we go.
Or something.
Now live chat is open right here. So comment, questions. Gary gets the hard ones. I get the easy ones. And pray.
Lord, tonight, just bless this study. Lord, bless this effort just to draw closer to you and just through your word, get to know who you are, just see your hand, see your relation to your people, your love for your people. And then help us to understand that we're your people, that the things that we see you do for them are the things that you want to do for us. God, just help us to recognize you through this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, say wise things.
Wise things.
Not be a wise guy.
Say goodnight, Gracie. Goodnight, Gracie. But nobody knows what that means.
No, that's probably dates you a little bit there.
It's because you're very old. I'm pretty sure... Who was it? Was it Lynn? Was it you the other day who said heavenly days? Mm-hmm. Oh, heavenly days. That's Fibber, McGee, and Molly.
Is it?
It is. They even made a movie called Heavenly Days. Molly always said, oh, heavenly days, Fibber. And he would always say, my clavicle, he would say.
Good song.
I don't know.
Oh, heavenly days.
I thought you meant, oh, my clavicle.
That's what I was like,
oh, my clavicle. All right.
your clavicle are these ones here?
They certainly are. They are. Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 11. We are at a place where what is going on, Gary, in Nehemiah? We're coming off of Ezra. So this is kind of after all of that's been, after everything from Ezra's happened, and Nehemiah is doing what? What's
he comes in and he's a little bit different kind of commission than Ezra, because Ezra was the scribe priest guy who, kind of working on bringing revival and built the temple. Nehemiah comes back to build the walls, and he's actually the cupbearer to the king. And he goes through conversation with the king, gets sent to do this. Nehemiah finds out the walls are still in disrepair, and they're not protected. So he asks the king, and the king says, go build it, and here, take some money with you, and take this letter that says that's what you're supposed to do. So while Ezra, they were trying to build the temple, and at one point they even were stopped from building the temple by a different king. Yep. Nehemiah actually has the king's full authority to go ahead and do this. So it's a little bit different. And he's actually the governor. He's appointed, so he's a government official of the Persian Empire, even though he's a Jew, right. And he's here to build the walls for Jerusalem.
All right, so here we are. Ezra passes the baton, so as it were. I mean, they didn't actually physically, but
no.
From what he did, the next step in that restoration of Jerusalem and the Jewish nation is restoring the walls of the city and making it an actual city and a safe place again. For
Yeah.
the Jews. Lynn in the back.
Is Ezra alive yet?
Yeah, actually, he's
Okay.
mentioned in the book of Nehemiah.
Okay.
Yep.
Is he elderly?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how old he was in Ezra.
There's some question as to the exact dates and how much overlap there is. But Ezra is active in the book of Nehemiah, and some people have wondered why he's not mentioned a little bit more often because he was a prominent figure. But he is mentioned definitely.
But the way the people were all kind of falling away and, getting mixed up with the other
Mhm.
races and everything, his effectiveness must have waned.
And you see it in Nehemiah too, because Nehemiah, they take an oath and they write a written oath and stuff, and then even later in the book of Nehemiah, they're talking about intermarriage and stuff again. So it seems like it's something they really had a hard time with. It just, unlike us, they had a hard time staying on the path.
we're focused. We're laser focused. Gary.
Yeah. Lazy, laser, or something.
There was a rabbit trail right there.
Lazy focused.
Mhm.
That's about it. All right.
So verse 11.
Verse 11. I'll read it. You can comment on
Commentate.
it. Commentate.
Okay.
You can commentate on it, Gary. Okay. I went to Jerusalem, and after staying there 3 days, I set out during the night with a few men. I had not told anyone what God had put in my heart to do for Jerusalem. There were no mounts with me except the one that I was riding. I think we had read this one
Yeah.
last
Yes, we
week,
did.
but this is Nehemiah heading out on horseback with a small contingent, but he's not talking to anybody or telling anybody. He's trying to inconspicuously ride, by himself as the only one on horseback. Anyway, everyone else is on foot, but then he is kind of surveying the scene, getting a first-hand look at what's got to be done, and trying not to stir up trouble or be noticed in the process too much.
Right.
And he's not telling people what it is. All those people there, as he's riding through, he's not going, "Hey, I'm Nehemiah. I'm here to rebuild the walls, everyone." That's not what he's doing. He's just got his lip zipped and he's checking it out and staying on the DL.
Yeah. And in my mind, I don't know, and it doesn't say this, but in my mind, I see him looking at the wall, figuring out what needs to be done.
Yes.
Trying to get this thing in his head before he makes an announcement. Hey, this is what we're going to do. I think he's getting a lay of the land and making a bit of a plan.
Well, and for you, that's something that's very, very common and something that makes
because I
perfect
build
sense.
walls all the time.
You do. I mean, you go
Just
to a
not around
project,
Jerusalem.
you'll go to the site, go to a project, and you'll say, okay, here's how this is what we've got to do. This is what's got to take place for this job to happen.
Yep.
And that's what he's doing.
And sometimes there's a neighbor, not named Sanballat necessarily, but that is like, hey, I don't want a neighbor. And yeah.
Yeah. You can't build a basement there because then you'll put a house on top of it,
That's
won't you?
correct.
You will.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
people like you. You're going to put a house on that basement. I just know it.
Yep. Nobody else. This has been mine for years.
That's right.
Yeah.
That lot's been empty since I moved in here. Well,
Well, you should have bought it.
That's right.
That's correct.
Well, it isn't your lot.
It's not yours.
It's America still for a couple of days yet. So, all right.
So yeah.
All right. So that's what's
And
happening.
he kind of lists where he's going, and you can see if you were here, you can look at Lynn's map because it's got it drawn out there, and it's pretty cool.
Lynn, you can stand
And
right
he-
behind us. We can see right in the middle, right between us. Seriously,
The,
you could if you
We
want.
have it labeled.
The
Gary can point out
walls
Gary
that
knows.
Jerusalem that Nehemiah builds are much smaller than the original city walls of Jerusalem. And that's part of the reason they were able to build them as quickly as they do is the fact that it's not nearly as big as it used to be. He starts on the eastern side, and the gates that he lists were the old city wall, but then he cuts it short on the western side from what it originally was.
So
and it
bring that in
becomes
so
much
they can have
smaller.
an idea. When you see the city of Jerusalem today, it is much larger than it was in the time of Nehemiah. The city in Nehemiah is the city of David, as it was called. It's much smaller. The city of Jerusalem now is spread way off.
Yeah.
It just covers all of this. This whole area here is actually an outskirt or a border of the current city. Current city is huge around this. So this would have been the area where city, the walled city that David would have. It was that shape, that size when David was king of Israel.
It's a ridge that comes.
Yes.
down.
Yes,
Which
this
way do you
is a
turn
ridge.
straight?
This would have been the Temple
Huh?
Mount here, and then this funny piece of the city ran down the hillside down here and was all walled in. So this is the area, the walled area that Nehemiah is going to rebuild. It is in disarray. They've rebuilt the temple, but again, the city, the temple itself, all of it unprotected by the walls that used to protect it. So,
He says in here, I went out by the valley gate, which is here in the direction of Dragon's Well. And he talks about the refuse gate, which was down here. And then he lists all these other gates that he sees in his circuit were gates in this wall.
should I read it? Should I read
Sure.
it while you're doing that? By night, I went out through the valley gate, through the jackal well, and the dung gate, examining the walls of Jerusalem, which had been broken down, and its gates, which had been destroyed by fire. Then I moved on forward toward the fountain gate and the king's pool, but there was not enough room for my mount to get through. So I went up the valley by night, examining the wall. Not enough room to get through, probably because of
the broken down wall.
the rubble, is the stones. Just they couldn't get through. It'd be like you see these, pictures in a movie of a war-torn city where it's bombed out, and pictures of London after the bombings in London, where a whole city's walls, the stones, the bricks are just filling the streets. It would have been something like that, and it's just been like that for.
And that's the thing that really hit Nehemiah was this has been like that for over 100 years
Right.
now.
Right.
I mean, it's
No
not
one's
like it
cleaned
just
up.
happened.
Right. Yeah. It was. Yeah. Yeah. So. All right. The officials did not know where I had gone or what I was doing because
Thank you, Vanna.
The officials did not know where I had gone or what I was doing because as yet I had said nothing to the Jews or the priests or the nobles or the officials or any others who would be doing the work. So again, he just shows up with his contingent. He's taken a look around before he says anything, which I think is very wise. Keeping it quiet. He's focused on what he has to do. He's not there for attention. He's not there to be a show off. He's not there to impress people. He's trying to figure out the best way to do this because he's a little nervous about this himself.
Yeah.
He's a cupbearer, not a contractor.
True. Yeah. I mean, he's just there to do a job. He's not there for any other reason. He doesn't care about a claim or anything like that. He wants to see these walls built.
Yep.
So verse 17, then I said to them, you see the bad situation we're in, that Jerusalem is desolate and its gates burned by fire. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, as we will no longer be a reproach. I told them how the hand of my God had been favorable to me, and also about the king's words which he had spoken to me. Then they said, let us arise and build. So they put their hands to the good work. So he announced, told him what he wanted to do, and he said, hey, look, I mean, we're exposed here. We're a city without walls. Not only are we a reproach, is what it says there, are we looked down on because we're a city without walls, but we're exposed. We're at risk because we don't have any protection.
See, even the Bible has walls.
I know. Wow. No.
It's people say, "Well, Jesus wouldn't do that."
Well,
Yeah. Sorry.
No, walls have worked since the beginning of man.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's the point of a wall. They work in your house, don't they?
my house has walls.
It does. Yep.
My barn has a couple of walls too.
They're
Pretty holy walls though right now.
China built a great wall once.
Yeah, it was a pretty good wall. I don't know. I mean, I think it's overrated.
It's a great wall.
I don't know.
Great, really great.
Think so?
Really, really. Everyone says it's really great.
5 stars?
See what I'm doing there?
4.5.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So then he told them, God wants me to do this. And oh, by the way, the king said he wants me to do this. And then they said, let us arise and build.
Let's do it then.
Yep. They I don't know. It's weird that this has sat. Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the walls in what was it, 586?
Something like that. Yeah.
And it's like 450 at this time or something like that. So it's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody comes along and says, let's do it. And all of a sudden they're motivated. It's like, well, why weren't you motivated the last almost 100 years? Was nobody? Now all of a sudden that you're just, now you're gung-ho?
Yeah.
Why weren't you gung-ho yesterday before I said anything?
Well,
If I wouldn't have said anything today, you'd have gone today and tomorrow and the next day and next week and next year not doing anything with the wall. You'd have been the same as you were today before I said anything.
so what you're saying
So I don't
is,
know.
well, one guy being obedient and stepping up and saying, let's do this, can make the difference.
I don't know what that means. What Angie wrote.
Angie, you're going to have to clarify. I don't know. Is Carol on now?
Carol, like a Christmas carol? I mean, I could sing you Jingle Bells. I mean, you don't want me singing, but I'd do it. It'd be our last podcast thing here every month thing. But,
So anyway, one person can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just odd that all of these people had no spark.
mm-hmm.
They all looked at this every day and never did anything about it. I mean, man, there's a sermon series here on people, on their lives, on how so many people, their lives are like this. Their lives are like Jerusalem. The walls are broken down. They're a mess. They've been that way for a long time. And they look at it every day and they see it and they know they should do something, but they just never do. And their life remains a wreck year after year after year. And one person can turn that around for them. And we can do that. And you can see Jesus in a statement like that. The rebuilder of broken walls. That's who Nehemiah is. And Jesus does that too. Jesus comes into our lives that are broken down and says, hey, we're going to fix this. And we rise up and say, okay, let's get started. And wow, that's pretty amazing. So there's my Jesus sermon
There you go.
for the Old Testament.
Looks like Angie's looking for Carol. I don't know if she's on there now or not. I'm not sure. You couldn't get into Bible study at first because Pastor Brad was telling stories.
Carol Walters.
Just blathering on, and we couldn't get started because he's talking about cows and his days as a vaquero and all that stuff.
Gaucho.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey.
But also, just we talked about it a little bit last week, but Nehemiah being the cupbearer to the king, being rubbing elbows with royalty, he gets this burden put on him and he prays about it. And you would think, okay, a guy in his position, hey, God, you want me to do this? Okay, I'll send somebody to do it. But God tells him, puts this burden on him, and he prays for it. And then not for him to have somebody do it, but for him to get up and leave what's comfortable, take risk, and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that line. The end of verse 18 is a long verse. But the end of it, so they began this good work. That's a great sentence.
Mm-hmm. There's another one in here too that I will get to that's similar. But yeah, it's so much in it.
Well, and I love that there's this verse, and then this is such a positive, uplifting verse. There's motion and hope here.
Yep.
And then immediately following this verse is a big but. A big but. And it's like the air comes right out of it.
Well, and that's what happens so often when you talked about people who, well, my life's been a wreck for years and I know it is, and it's just been that way, and it never really changes. When you get motivated to change it, the first thing that happens is you're going to find resistance.
And again, that is another lesson for us, especially for new Christians. I think there is this false, idea of, what Christians are. There's many false ideas of what Christians are. But that you get saved and you're going to be like, the guy on TV or something. You're going to get an Armani suit and a a Rolex watch, and you're going to get a G6, and you're going to
You'll be
fly all over the
Joseph Prince all
world.
of a
And
sudden.
yes, and you're going to have a best-selling book, and it's going to be, and nothing is ever going to go wrong for you again, and it's going to be perfect because you follow Jesus. And that's a pretty false impression. We all know that, at least my experience was when I got saved.
You got all this. What are you talking about?
Wow. Don't bring me down, Gary. When I got saved, what happened inside was amazing. But in my world outside, it didn't necessarily all become great.
No.
There was some stuff that became really hard and really rough to deal with. Losing a lot of friends because they didn't understand what had happened to me. They didn't understand why I didn't want to go to the bar after work anymore. They didn't understand why I wasn't participating in the gossip and the backstabbing and the trash talking of other people after work at the bar. Because that's just what you do, and it's like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not interested in that. I'm done with that.
Mhm.
And then you realize I can't hang around these people anymore. This isn't my life anymore. And all of a sudden it becomes very hard, and there's a change that happens. There's resistance, there's friction. All of a sudden people who were your friends are your enemies, and people who were cheering for you one minute are now cheering for your demise.
Mhm.
And it's hard, and that's what's happening here. This character appears throughout Scripture in many forms and many names. In the next book, in Esther, which follows Nehemiah, it's Haman. Haman's the guy who pushes back.
Yep.
So anyway, take this, Gary.
Okay. And then just in one book, though, the guy who's pushing back becomes the guy who's pushing forward. Just, Paul. So I throw that in there because it reminds me of what you said. You might not have been doing what Paul was doing, but when you became a Christian, you became Paul to all those other people. The guy who, what happened to him?
Yep.
Now it's time to push at him,
Yeah. The job that I was in at the time when I got saved was incredibly stressful. It was really hard. And after work, you had to unwind for your mental health. I mean, this job it was just weird. I won't even tell you what it was and what it involved, but it was very physical, not just in work, but I'm talking physical as in fighting people physically. I mean, actually involved in, for lack of a better phrase, physical combat. And so it was really hard. It was almost like, a Band of Brothers kind of a thing. And so when I stepped out of that for those people around me, that was like a betrayal for them that I had stepped out of that. But none of the other men in that group were Christian.
Yeah.
And I understood, and I had been there with them and done all those things, but stepping out of that into a different group of friends was very different.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway,
But
the big but. What's the big but?
In
Sanballat.
verse 19, but when Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite official, and Geshem the Arab heard about it, they mocked and ridiculed us. What is this you're doing? They asked. Are you rebelling against the king? And I just find that curious that the city's been in ruins for almost 100 years. These guys come in literally with a renovation project.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what are you doing? Are you rebelling against the king? It's like, really? Cleaning up the town and rebuilding it is rebelling? So we should leave it? Is that what you're saying? We should walk away and just leave it in ruins? Because that's literally what Sanballat is saying.
Yeah.
Hey, just leave it alone. Do what? You can't clean that up. It's always been like this. This is the way it's supposed to be. We like it like this.
Yeah.
Verse 20, I answered them by saying, the God of heaven will give us success. We, his servants, will start rebuilding. And as for you, you have no share in Jerusalem or any claim or historic right to it. So Nehemiah basically says, "Shut up, you face." Right?
Yeah, and there's a couple of things here. One, there's extra biblical sources that talk about a Geshem the Arab as king of Kedar. So he wasn't just kind of a nobody in his own right.
So, and again, that's awesome that you pointed that out. Extra biblical sources. What that means, for layman is there's other historical documents and sources outside the Bible that validate what the Bible says. These characters, their names appear in other ancient scripts and documents, validating that these aren't just made up names. These are actual historical people who lived, breathed, and died exactly as the Bible says they did. And there's evidence of them in other documents to prove that. So all of those historical archaeological things, again, validate the Bible.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome.
And Sanballat was another one. He was mentioned in the Elephantine Papyri.
Oh, I love the Elephantine Papyri.
But he was as governor of Samaria.
Isn't that on Nickelodeon? It's a kid's show, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right.
But
no, it's not.
Remember in Ezra's day, they sent a letter to the king saying, "Hey, they're building the temple. They're going to rebel," and the king shut them down.
Yeah.
So now they come back and say, "What, are you rebelling against the king?" But Nehemiah won't even hear it. He just I don't want to hear you, because he knows the king sent him here to do it.
Yeah, he
They're
could have
just-
used that, but he
yeah.
didn't.
They're just trying to bully him by saying this, thinking they can bully him into stopping, but he won't even listen to him. He won't even hear it. And because Sanballat is a Sumerian, it becomes more of a stinging rebuke when Nehemiah looks at him and says, "But you have no portion, right, or memorial in Jerusalem."
Yeah. He basically looks at him and says, "None of this is your history or your affair or your business."
Because if he was a Samaritan, he was half Jewish.
Yeah. So this stings for him. So this ticks Sanballat off. This is the thing that gets him up tomorrow wanting to destroy Nehemiah.
Yeah.
That little jerk.
Mhm.
I'm going to bring him down. And now he really wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for him, it's political too, because right now the political power center in that area is Samaria. But if Jerusalem gets walls, it's already got a temple. If it gets walls, it starts becoming influential. Well, then maybe Samaria is not going to matter anymore.
Well, and not only will it become influential, but it will become influential filled with Jews, and the Jews will become influential.
Right.
And he doesn't want that,
Because that's
he's
the way
not
it
a
was
fan of
before.
them. Yes.
So he's got other reasons aside from, religious differences to not want this to happen too.
Yep. All right. Keep going. I believe.
Chapter 3.
Is that where we are? Did we read verse 10?
20.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, we read it.
Oh, I'm on the wrong page. There we go. Verse 3.
Turn the page there, Bob Seeger.
Oh, yeah, we haven't been saying that.
What?
Nehemiah chapter 3, verse 1.
Nehemiah chapter 3, verse 1. And again, if you have any comments or questions, you want to interact, right here is your place. Dig in and ask questions. Gary gets the hard ones. I get the easy ones. Gail is manning the
Questions.
the questions and the
Oh, she gets
interactions
to
and
answer 'em.
correspondence. Yeah.
Just fire away.
Sure.
All right.
Oh, verse 3, that's a fun name.
Yeah. See how I end up with these now?
I know. Kick it off.
Asana.
Eliashib.
Okay. Then Eliashib, the high priest.
Eliashib. It sounds like a stock trading company. Eliashib,
Eliashib.
Jones and Smith. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm making that up. Jones and Smith are weird
Joseph Smith.
Jewish names.
I don't know what those are.
Yeah.
Eliashib, the high priest, arose with his brothers, the priests, and built the sheep gate. They consecrated it and hung its doors. They consecrated the wall to the Tower of the 100 and the Tower of Hananel. Next to him, the men of Jericho built. Next to them, Zachor, the son of Imri, built. Now,
So when they talk about rebuilding a gate, explain that that's not just simply what a gate was. A gate was more than just two pieces of wood that swung open. It was a gate. You can do this, or I can.
Go ahead,
do this.
go.
a gate was more than just a, like you see in front of Elvis's house, a gate. A gate was a whole structure. You would come in through a gate or through a portal into an area that was almost like a big square building, and there were rooms in it and second floors in it. It's an area where they would hold court, settle issues. If you had something against your brother, legal disputes, that sort of thing, you would do those in the city gate. It was actually a structure, a stone building, literally, that was there at every entrance to the city where you could do business right there, even before you came into the city. So this was not just two swinging gates. This was a whole stone structure they rebuilt. So the priests and those involved, they rebuilt this whole area coming in to the sheep gate, and the importance of that to the Jews was great. So, Lynn?
The gates were part of the defense of the city, where when you came in, you didn't go straight into the city.
Right, you came into a structure.
There
So
was
they
a
could,
turn to
yes.
it also, so that it
Yep.
would be harder to defend. And I believe there are 3 rooms on each side, and there was a second story.
yeah, yep. There's pictures. You can go and look at these things, reconstructions of them online, and even
But I
stuff that exists. So
when
yes,
I read the Bible, I was pictured this picket fence and these men sitting in chairs holding court.
yeah, no, it's very
When I
different.
Yeah,
heard-
yeah.
heard, it described, it changed my whole perception of what they were talking about.
Yeah, well, they would do land deals. They would settle disputes, things like that. If somebody owed somebody money, they would meet at the city gate, which
Yes.
was where the elders
Yeah.
of the city, or those of influence, those who were important in the city or among that community, would sit there and they'd say, "We're going to go ask, wise Uncle Bob. He's at the city gate. He'll settle this between us. We'll go ask." So they go there and ask him, and he would settle the dispute, and then that was settled in. If they're at the city gate, they came to a decision, that was it. And that was sort of their way of doing it without having to have a great court system.
Yeah.
So,
But most of this wall, as they don't really have anymore, there's a portion of this eastern side that they've actually discovered that is from Nehemiah's time. And they said you could tell that it's built roughly. It was not intricately carved together like some of the old city walls. You can tell they put it together pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But this at this time is all temple, you know. But when Herod came, the temple kind of grew and overtook the wall in these directions. So any wall that they could have found there was under Herod's temple at that point, which was later destroyed, so that they couldn't find it. So most of this wall they don't have anymore, but they have found a portion of it that dates to that time, that shows the rapid construction that we see here in the book of Nehemiah.
in this passage, Eliashib, the high priest, and fellow priests rebuilt the sheep gate. Here's the Temple Mount.
Yep.
And here's the sheep gate. So that would have been a primary, very important gate leading into the temple area. So that was one that the priests, they did that one.
Yeah.
That was right in their backyard.
It was right there rather than having built
Yes.
one.
Where they brought the sheep in to be sacrificed.
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently.
Exactly. For sacrifices at the temple.
In the little square, that little square next to the sheep gate, that's the Tower of 100.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes across to the Tower of Hananel.
Yep.
And the fish gate.
Fish
So we're
gate.
going from
Yep.
right to left.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're going to work through this, and Nehemiah breaks us into roughly 40 sections of wall that different parties are responsible for.
Which is pretty cool. He, rather than saying, "Okay, I'm going to take charge and build this whole thing," he had small groups of people who build sections in their area, which is what happens here. The priests took care of this part, and then some other people took care of this part, and then another people this part, and another group of people this part. So he subcontracted and split it up into little pieces. Again, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a
One
time.
bite at a time. Nehemiah is so good. And this is an absolutely phenomenal undertaking.
Yeah.
This isn't going in there with bulldozers, cleaning up, and then going in with a truckload of lumber and rebuilding with saws and really quick in building. This is stone. This is stone. And they, by hand, the undertaking is practically impossible. And by the time we get to the end of this, what he does in rebuilding these walls to this day it's an engineering marvel what he did.
the square part at the top there, if you drew a line across where it's kind of square.
Right up
Well,
here?
down lower, where it kind of starts to narrow.
Oh, here?
Yeah, that area is about 40 acres, a little less.
Okay.
So if you know what the back 40 looks like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a pretty big area to build a wall around.
Yeah. Yeah. An acre is roughly 200 by 200. So, yeah.
40
So
acres.
40 acres would be, yeah.
That's a lot of wall.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how much total, like mileage of walls that it was that he rebuilt, but
Yeah, I'm not sure.
we'll work that out as we get
But
closer to the
also,
end.
thank you.
Mhm.
By breaking it up the way you did, this is something that you see people don't do a lot of times in leadership is he gave each of those parties ownership of that portion of the wall.
Yes.
The part that they built, one, if they look at their neighbor and they're building 3 feet a day and I'm only building 1, hey, I want to keep up with the Joneses. But 2, I know later, 15 years, 20 years from now, this section of wall is going to be the section of wall that I built. So I want it to be built right, you
And
know?
then I have my shop, or I live here, or I want it built good because
Yeah.
I live here.
Yeah. And I don't, in churches, I've seen sometimes where this doesn't happen, where the pastor kind of has his stamp on everything and he doesn't let other people take ownership.
Yeah.
And that's when people aren't willing to work, aren't willing to help, is when they don't feel like it's they're part of it, you know? Yeah. They'll feel like they're building with.
Right.
So that's something that really wise that he does here. It's not just say, hey, go build a wall for me, but he gives them ownership of a section.
Yeah. There's a country song on the radio because Josh got me liking country music now a little bit. Some of it. Sit over here. Well, there's this one song about something's only worth.
What did he lose in this song?
Something's only worth is. I'm just paraphrasing here, but it's only worth as much as the time put in. It's a song about people being given stuff rather than earning it, and that's a true concept. It's only worth as much as the time you've put into it. If someone gives it to you and you've done nothing to get it, well, then you don't care if you lose it or waste it or break it. It doesn't matter, you know, because it doesn't mean anything to you. It cost you nothing, you know. Parents who, just give their kids everything. Well, kids don't care because they didn't invest anything in it. But you know, when Hayden shovels poop and horse manure for a year to buy a Nintendo game system when he was a kid, well, that game system, he was like, he dust it, polish it, keep it clean, because I shoveled a lot of horse manure to get that thing. And it's true, these guys, when they were given a task to rebuild their section, it probably in an area near where they lived, it meant something to them. And they worked on it. And when it was done, they took pride in it. And they would, so that's exactly right. What a great thing for Nehemiah to do.
Yeah.
He had a very innate sense of people.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows how much of that negotiating skill and stuff he picked up just being at the right hand of the king for all his years, right?
Yeah.
Seeing all of that palace intrigue and how the king handled it. He probably picked up a lot of wisdom for somebody when you're at the top of the food chain, how you stay alive and how you get things done. He watched the king do it. So he learned.
No doubt. Yeah, you can see it. He definitely manages people and in the tasks and stuff as we go through this. I mean, he's a good,
and he manages the
administrator.
resistance very well. He doesn't let the resistance stop him.
No,
we'll get to that. That's
no.
This is I don't know, maybe yours too. It's one of my favorite Old Testament stories.
It is, so and he's kind of a seminal figure for Israel too. I mean, he's an important guy in their history. They look on him highly, So yeah.
All right, well, keep going, Gary. You're doing great.
Sure, I am. You just want me to keep reading these names?
I do.
Okay, where did I go? 3. Now the sons of Hassanah built the fish gate. They laid its beams and hung its doors with its bolts and bars. Next to them, Meremoth, the son of Uriah, the son of Hakaz, made repairs.
Son of Uriah. So what you're saying is that area with all the stones, it was just Uriah heap before that.
Yeah.
That's
They
an
fixed
old
it.
band.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
an old
it is.
band.
It is,
From the
yeah.
old days when we was
Yeah.
kids.
He was
Way back
yeah.
then before they had
At
electricity.
least like 22 years
All
ago,
right.
or
Go ahead.
2 years or something.
Okay.
And next to him, Meshullam, the son of Berechiah, the son of Meshezabel, made
Oh, you did
repairs.
great.
And next to him, Zadok, the son of Baana, also made repairs. Verse 5, moreover, next to him, the Tekoites made repairs, but their nobles did not support the work of their masters. Joadah, the son of Paseah, and Meshullam, son of Besodiah, repaired the old gate. Besodiah, yeah. They laid its beams and hung its doors with its bolts and bars. Next to them, Melatiah the Gibeonite and Jadon the Meronothite and the men of Gibeon and of Mizpah also made repairs for the official seat of the governor of the province beyond the river. Next to him, Uzziel the son of Harhiah of the goldsmiths made repairs. And next to him, Hananiah, one of the perfumers, made repairs. And they restored Jerusalem as far as the broad wall. So it's not just, hey, let's hire a bunch of masons and have them make repairs. It's like, well, when I'm in the church, I'm part of the body, but this is my task, and that's not my task. And I know it needs to be done, but that's not my task.
Right. It's the whole city now is very excited, and
Yeah.
everybody wants to be everyone wants to be involved, and everyone wants to help.
Mhm.
It's like there's this big community project that needs to get done, and we're all in because this is just going to be amazing. It's like an Amish barn raising. Everybody pitched in.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they were excited to do their part.
And it's not just people in the city. This is Jericho and Mizpah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tekoa, some prophet
Yep.
came from
Yep.
there. I can't remember which one. But,
Well, the word spread that there's a guy in town, some
I mean-
Jewish guy rebuilding the walls, and we're in. Well, let's go. Let's get a group. It's sort of
Yeah.
like,
Jewish people
well,
were
we
congregated.
churches will do that. There'll be some project somewhere, and and you send a team off to go help. We sent people after one of those hurricanes down south years back when one of those hurricanes hit, and some people down to help rebuild that
Yeah.
afterwards. So that's kind of, and everyone is involved.
We go down to Florida in the winter and at the church down
Yes,
there.
you do, much to our chagrin.
Well, it's called Destiny. Anyway, there's a retired pastor that's there,
There's no such thing.
and he used to.
That's a myth.
he's
It's a
still
myth.
is active, but he used to be pastor in this area, and he helped build this church. He says, we put up drywall in this church.
Yeah.
Small world, huh?
So their
Yeah.
church came and, had a work
Well,
weekend or whatever.
It is my understanding that this church was actually built by Maps team. And that is, I think it was Maps. Anyway, I don't know the designation exactly, but it was built by a bunch of retired people who were electricians and builders and plumbers and roofers. And then they all come up with their campers and their motorhomes, and they hang out, and they built a church. They all came together from different places all over and built the church. And that's how this church was built. So, yeah.
But congregations must have come and helped too.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot.
Oh,
of,
yeah.
You can, some of the names were underneath the paint.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah.
Like that?
So,
Mhm.
all right. Keep going,
So,
Gary.
yeah,
Those
they're
names,
all
we're just
pitching in and
thrilled to
working
hear
on
you
it.
read them.
Okay. Verse 9.
Oh, it's a good one.
Next to them, Rephaiah, the son of Hur. See, I like that name. The official of half the district of Jerusalem made repairs. Next to them, Jediah, the son of Haramath.
Jedi. What?
Not Jedi.
Jedi.
No.
Oh,
Jediah. Yeah.
okay.
It could be Jediah, or I don't know. The son of Haramath
Mhm.
made repairs opposite.
I think
his
it's
house.
Harumph.
Harumph.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what it looks like. He made repairs opposite his house. So it's like, hey, you fix that.
I'm going to fix what's right outside my door.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, something you could do.
It's not going to be rush hour traffic on the way there,
Everybody could do
you know?
something, right? They
Yeah.
could all do something.
Start where you are,
Use what you have
do what
and
you
do
can.
what you can.
That's what
And
he's doing.
look what they did.
They built a wall.
Yes.
Okay, continuing in verse 10. And next to him, Hattush, the son of Hashabniah, made repairs. Malchijah, the son of Haram, and Hashab, the son of Pahath Moab, repaired another section and the Tower of Furnaces.
So, Gail, at night when Gary goes home after these Bible studies, does he rant and rave that you made me read those names again? I hate that. I'm not going to do. Does he do that when you get
No.
home? No, he's good.
No, he
He's
falls
okay.
asleep.
I have no
like-
sense
He
of
falls
pride.
asleep.
I just whatever. I don't know. I don't care.
He sits down on the couch and then I'm like, oh, he's sleeping already.
I'll butcher some names. I don't care what
They're
people
down
think.
here to the Tower of Furnaces.
Okay,
Whatever.
we're working our way down.
Yep, they started out. Where did we start
At
out?
the
At
top.
the
Sheep
sheep gate.
Up here.
Yep.
So we kind of went across the top of the temple area, and now we're moving down
Working our way down
the western
counterclockwise.
side. Yep, working around the wall. All right.
All right. Next to him, verse 12, Shallum, the son of Halohesh, the official of half the district of Jerusalem, made repairs. He and his daughters. That one's a little bit curious. Just because it would be abnormal for his daughters to be working on the wall with him. So people speculate, well, why is he working on it with his daughters? He's supposed to be the half district of Jerusalem. It's like, could he not find some men to do it? So there's probably an untold story there.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just not that a woman can't build a wall, but it would have been unusual in their day for that to be done that way.
Right. And again, we don't know the story. It could be one of a million things. Maybe his wife died. And he's a single dad raising the kids, and they're all just doing this together as a family, as a project, getting involved, anything. I'd like to think something, that this is a really.
He didn't have any sons.
Well, yeah.
I was one of 4 girls.
I know.
We
I've
did
met your
everything.
sisters. I feel bad for your dad after having met all you girls.
My
Must have been
father
hard
never
for him.
complained that he had all girls. He says an old man told him once, "Don't worry about the boys; they'll come by themselves." And he never made us feel like he wished he had boys.
Yeah.
Cool.
He liked his girls.
Another possibility is that it does it. That term it could have meant some other small, because it talks about towns. This town built this section. He could be referring to towns that he oversaw as his daughters too.
Yeah,
Possibly,
yeah.
but yeah, people
That
just
would all
people
go
just
back to the
speculate at
translation.
that verse just because it's out of the ordinary. So, but yeah, not that it really matters that much, but you may hear people say, "Well, I don't know."
So is that eisegesis? Eisegetics?
It probably is a little bit. People want to interject something because it's unusual.
Yeah.
But just let it be unusual. I mean, it works for me.
Yes.
At least,
Mhm.
All right, verse 13. Right? Is that where we were? Yep. Hanun and the inhabitants of Zanoah repaired the valley gate. They built it and hung its doors with its bolts and its bars, and 1,000 cubits of the wall to the refuse gate, or the dung gate. That's
So they're
a
almost
1,000
to the bottom
cubits.
now.
That's a big section.
Yeah, here's the valley gate,
Yeah.
and here's the down gate down here.
Yeah, so that's almost half of that section, that side of the wall they built. Yeah,
It must have been easy.
How many cubits was that?
1,000.
That's okay. This says 450 meters.
150 feet. I
And
mean, a cubit's like a foot and a half.
Yeah.
So a
450
meter is
a little over a yard.
it's like 38 inches or something,
Yeah.
isn't it? Something like that. So this
So
would have been
500 yards. Yeah.
probably 500 yards of
So
wall.
1,760 yards is a mile.
How long's a football field?
100.
So it'd be 5 football fields long. That's a
Pretty
lot of
good
wall.
to
That's a
build.
long section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Got to bring it home so we can
But
picture it.
that gives us an idea too. If that stretches 500 yards of roughly what the mileage around the perimeter would have been, it's probably about
Yeah.
1,200 yards on either side. Gives us a little bit of an idea how
Yeah.
big that would have been.
Yeah.
12 football fields.
Roughly, probably tall, and then the width of it would be.
12, yeah, 12 foot, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Not just the temple, the entire mount, the entire
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, the
The temple-
walls, the walls. that they
Right,
built.
right. That surrounded all of that area.
And
So,
and
yes.
This area down here now, that's mostly Arab
Yeah.
people that live there now.
Mhm.
And they're doing, in this part right in here, the city of David, they're doing, oh, it is dug up. I mean, they are excavating and finding stuff and tunnels and we're down there, there was like a place where they think they did sacrifices and it's just, the Arabs are complaining that their houses are falling apart because they're digging so much and underneath, it's all rock.
Yeah.
And so they're digging underneath and people are having some problems with their homes.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be, a curious thing in a city that's been a city forever,
Yeah.
to try to excavate it and, archaeologists working there, but it's still a live city. It's not like it's deserted. Yeah.
Yeah. And strangely enough, that seems to be a pattern of humanity to build a city. Once someone takes a place and builds a city there, it's as if there's always a city there. They just build on top. If the city is conquered or destroyed, they just continue to build layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. Archaeologically, they're called tells.
Yep.
A big mound where something has been built over and over, layers thick. It's an archaeological tell, and you dig down through the layers of the tell, and you can see all the history as you go down. And that's Jerusalem is that.
Yeah.
Jerusalem was destroyed 27 times.
Yeah.
So there's a
layer.
And every time people rebuild, like here, they're going to use some of the stuff that's there, but they're bringing other stuff in from the surrounding area to build. So then that's when they build on top and they build on top. And
That's right. They had to bring all that stuff in to build it. It wasn't just, let's pick this up and put it here. They had to get it.
Yeah. Well, remember, Nehemiah had papers and things to the king's forest. The king's woodcutter, that he could get lumber and all these other things to rebuild structures and do whatever he needed to do to get the city back in shape. So yes, there was supplies coming in from all over the place to do this. So yeah.
But they did dig for stones around there. They had plenty of rock.
Yeah.
To make stones of it. And even on the north, let me think, the Arab sections over here and underneath the area there's a big mine where they dug rocks out to build the temple and the walls.
Cool.
Right there. I mean, some of them were probably brought from other places, but some of them were mined right in where Jesus was crucified on the north side of the temple. That was an escarpment where they had dug down and removed rock there and used it, on the wall.
Yeah, it's crazy. And again, I mean, for them to get rock, it's not like they had got some big saw and cut it out and got their tractor and picked it up. And this is all done by hand with hand tools.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
All right.
15.
Yes.
Shallum, the son of Kolhoza, the official of the district of Mizpah, repaired the fountain gate. He built it, covered it, and hung its doors with its bolts and its bars, and the wall of the pool of Shelah at the king's garden, as far as the steps that descend from the city of David. After him, Nehemiah, the son of Azbuk, official of Hath district of Beth Zur, made repairs as far as a point opposite the tombs of David, and as far as the artificial pool and the house of the mighty men. After him, the Levites carried out repairs under Rehum, the son of Bani. Next to him, Hashabiah, the official of the Hath district of Keilah, carried out repairs for his district. After him, the brothers carried out repairs under Bavai, the son of Henadad, official of the other half of the district of Keilah. Next to him, Ezer, the son of Yeshua, the official of Mizpah, repaired another section in front of the ascent of the armory at the angle.
So again, as you're going through this, he's moving along the wall saying, these people built this section, and next to them, these people built that section, and next to them, these people built that section.
Yep.
So like when you're out on the highway and you see those signs, adopt a highway, you know, this stretch of highway adopted by Boy Scout troop so-and-so, and they keep it clean. And then, you know, the next section was adopted by somebody else and they do that. And that's what they're doing here with the wall, you know? So he's saying that here's all these teams of just helpers. This is this amazing community effort of these people out there every day working on this wall. They're becoming friends with each other. They're talking, they're meeting new people. You know, they're bringing out sandwiches for a lunch break, whatever they're doing. And this is just an amazing thing that is happening. That is, not only are the walls being rebuilt, but the community and the relationships between people are being rebuilt and strengthened at the same time, because you're working next to your neighbor now or somebody, and all of a sudden you're stronger. The wall is stronger and the Jewish community is getting stronger. And Sanballat's nervous about that. He doesn't want that to happen.
And you see it at certain times of stress, even in our country or something, that something that's more important than your petty differences will unite you.
It's bringing these people together in a way that they weren't before. Yeah. So, all right, keep going. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
20, I think. After him, Baruch, the son of Zabbai, zealously repaired another section from the angle to the doorway of the house of Eliashib the priest. After him, Meremoth, the son of Uriah, the son of Hakaz, repaired another section from the doorway of Eliashib's house, even as far as the end of his house. After him, the priests, the men of the valley, carried out repairs. After them, Benjamin and Hashub carried out repairs in front of their house. After them, Azariah, the son of Messiah, son of Ananiah, carried out repairs beside his house. After him, Benui, the son of Henadad, repaired another section from the house of Azariah as far as the angle and as far as the corner. Palal, the son of Uzai, made repairs in front of the angle and the tower projecting from the upper house of the king, which is by the court of the guard.
Now, I want to pause right there, because you're reading a lot of names, mentioning a lot of people, and it doesn't seem to have a purpose other than just to have these names in there. But again, when you were talking before, in other documents, even in other places in Scripture, some of these people start popping up, and they're actual real people, historical people, and that's been validated through archaeology and other documents. And I mean, you can go through, if you have a study Bible, you can go through and look at all these various people, and it explains them. You know, this particular person, you know, was a restored wrongdoer, helped build the Tower of Ovens, and it goes on and on. So all these various people, they're real. These are real names of real people, and they're in here because it is another way God has given us to validate his word for someone who is a skeptic to look at it and go, well, holy cow, this isn't made up. This is such incredible detail, and it's been proven to be accurate. This isn't a made up tale. This is history. This is real.
Yeah.
So, okay, keep going. Oh, wait.
The list says a little different, but mine says under for 22 beyond him, Benjamin. No, let's see. Oh, 22. The repairs next to him were made by the priests from the surrounding region.
Yep.
So that's, you know, they weren't just next door, they were from another region.
Yeah, well, the priests didn't all just live there. You know, they would come together.
From all over.
Yeah, and they would have an appointed time to do their ministry, and they'd come and stay in Jerusalem for that time that they did their ministry. So, yeah, they're coming from other places. And it talks about later on, and it'll talk about as the people that came into the city to work at some point. Nehemiah closes the walls and says, okay, you have to stay in the city while we're doing this. You can't keep coming and going just for security. So, yeah, there's a lot of people coming into the city to do this.
I think you're.
What does
question.
Mizpah mean?
Mizpah?
Mm-hmm.
Mizpah Ramon. There's 2 craters in Israel, and one is called Mizpah Ramon, but I don't know what it means.
I don't know. Mizpah pops up in another place too.
It's a location.
Yeah.
Mizpah means watchtower. She's talking about this jewelry. Here's a picture of it. I think this is what she's talking about right here. Mizpah. It's a Mizpah coin. The Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent from one another. It's from the book of Genesis. And so it's a way of saying, while we're apart, God will watch over us. You have one half of this, I have the other half of this. We mean something to each other, and while we are separated, God will watch over us, and we each have half of this coin. And when we're together, the coin is complete, and we are complete. Does that make sense? So that's kind of what that's about. Does that help, Angie?
I didn't hear her respond. So.
Okay, I didn't hear her respond either. She probably tuned out because you're talking. We should probably wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I was trying to make the last of the chapter there, but I don't know if I'll make it. Just read the last little bit quick, and
Well, we'll circle back to her.
You're pushing buttons now.
Let's see, what verse are we on here?
28.
yeah, 28. I think it will just
28.
buzz through these last few verses here. Above the horse gate, the priests carried out repairs, each in front of his house. After them, Zadok, the son of Immer, carried out repairs in front of his house. And after him, Shemaiah, the son of Shechaniah, the keeper of the east gate, carried out repairs. And after him, Hananiah, the son of Shelemiah, and Hanan, the son of Zalaph, repaired another section. After him, Meshullam, the son of Berechiah, carried out repairs in front of his own quarters. After him, Malchijah, one of the goldsmiths, carried out repairs as far as the house of the temple servants and of the merchants in front of the inspection gate, and as far as the upper room of the corner. Between the upper room of the corner and the sheep gate, the goldsmiths and the merchants carried out repairs, and the sheep gate is where we started.
So that dissertation that Gary read with all those names was an account going completely around the city and all of the groups and all the people involved in rebuilding that wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty amazing. This is again, a community effort, and everybody took part, and it's pretty impressive. Again, it's not just a wall being rebuilt; it's an entire culture and community that's being rebuilt. So,
Okay. When
Angie said yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jacob and Laban parted ways, they made a heap of stones and said, Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me this day." Therefore, it was named Galid and Mizpah, for he said, "May the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent one from another."
that's the passage right there. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So that's where that jewelry thing comes from.
Yep.
The idea watchtower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for tuning in. And Gary's going to close us with prayer, and we'll sign off.
All right.
Okay. Where'd we leave off?
Finish 3.
Nehemiah 4 is where we'll pick up, right?
4.
Okay. All right.
All right. God, tonight again, thank you for your word, for your message to us. Just help us to honor it, to seek that word, seek daily, just drawn into your presence and reading about you and just getting an appetite for that. And just then help us to put it to use in our walk day to day, not just to know stuff and maybe benefit ourselves, Lord, but to be ready to share it with those people that need to hear it.
Yes.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Saturday night in the sanctuary, apparently we'll start a series not from Joshua.
I didn't know that could be done.
I don't even know if it can. We'll see.
I don't know. You better just bring some Joshua notes just in case.
Maybe. All right.
Just
All
do
right.
like a 4-part series out of Joshua.
4-part series. It'll go 29. I can't believe I just didn't go one more and make it an even 30.
Well, you still can.
Sure.
It'll be fine. October is usually our Be Creative Outreach month anyway. So we're going to try to do something that seems not churchy, but is really churchy. But so if you want to bring people who don't like to come to church because it's stuffy, well, bring them the rest of this month because it won't be stuffy. It'll be
It
fun.
won't be stuffy.
And it'll be good, solid Christian stuff that will answer a lot of questions that people have. So, about the Bible, about Christianity, about those crazy Christians that go to them their Christian churches and believe in Jesus and all
Bunch
that
of
stuff.
Weirdos.
Right, those weirdos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's us. Proud of it. Okay. That's it. See you Saturday in person at 6, live streaming at 6:30. 3, 2, 1. Good night.
night.
Oh, I gotta sign us off. Bye.